Hey guys, it's John, and welcome back to the next episode of Comic Book Club. I went to my comic shop last night and I had some pulls actually to pick up. I haven't done pulls, I don't think, ever. I've always just kind of picked up in the store, but I started doing that. So I had a couple pulls to pick up, and I had a certain book that I was looking for, and then I just spent the rest of the time in the dollar section. I didn't get a lot from the dollar section, but I did stumble across just a whole section that I wanted and like one thing that like just really just sealed the day for me. So let's just get into it. We're gonna start off with this is one of the books I was looking for specifically. Monsters, Mark Spears Monsters number 5. So I now have the complete run of 1 through 6. I know there's been a 7 that's come out since then, and then there's a werewolf one shot I think coming out soon. But I now have the complete story, and I've read 1 through 4, and it's been really good, like really good. It just I love the Universal monster movies, and when they were getting ready to do the Dark Universe for Universal, I had high hopes for it, but once we saw that first Mummy movie, I knew it wasn't going to be great. I mean, not what I wanted, but this has been a fun little take on that mixed in with superhero genres where you have pretty classic versions of stuff, if not maybe more Monster Squad 1980s versions of stuff, but it also touches on like Hammer horror. I mean, the Van Helsing in here is a pretty much a spot on thing of Peter Cushing. Sherlock Holmes looks like Basil Rathbone. He's just in there for a little bit, but I mean, it just touches on so many cool horror, mystery, monster elements and mixes them all in here and gives it a superhero kind of vibe to it. And also, I would even venture to say a Lord of the Rings type vibe, or maybe it's best to be King Arthur. I think, well, without getting too much into it, there's a character in here that I think is meant to homage or mirror Merlin. Um, but it's been an interesting ride. It's not always the easiest to keep up with, and it's been best for me to reread all the original issues as I lead up to the next one, just to kind of keep things fresh because there's so much. But it's been pretty good so far. So I'm interested to read number 5 and 6 and see how that first story. I mean, I think issue 6 was supposed to be like the first of the original story arc. So I'm interested to see how that ties up. So Mark Spears Monsters number 5, and then we'll go into just some Marvel books I picked up. I've noticed recently, not yeah, I've noticed ever since I've been focused on completing a Superman year that Marvel's been becoming a smaller thing that I grab, and I'm getting a lot more DC. So my Marvel stacks are getting smaller and smaller, and that's not something I ever would have expected. But we have What If Sabretooth, focused number 97. I didn't keep up with comics a lot around this time as a kid, and so I'm interested to see like what is this exactly what ifing? Is this like a at this point in What If comics, is this like an alternate universe of Sabretooth? And it's just what if he was like this? Because normally the what ifs are like taking big events in the universe and like what if it went differently. So I have no idea what this is supposed to parallel, but it's called Screams in the Night. Looks like we got Jubilee on the cover there as well, possibly. So what if 97? And then Cable, number 17. Fantastic Four, The Lost Adventure. This is taking an unfinished Stan Lee and Jack Kirby story from around the 100s era. I think it was supposed to be number 103. And then when I read the cover, the inside of this, they kind of gave the background on it. They never finished the story, but Stan and another artist did go through and use pieces of it and made it be like a flashback to number 108. So this takes 103, finishes that story, and then also reprints number 108 right after it. So that was really cool to find. And then I found Infinity War number 2 and number 3. I wasn't going to grab, I saw number 2 first. I wasn't going to grab it because I have it as a trade, but it was in really nice condition, especially for a white cover. Um, and then number 3 is right there, also in really great condition. So I was like, well, I got half of it right here. And of course, we have the fold out splash cover. Infinity War, I found after reading it, it's one that you really need a lot of the crossovers to get the complete story. sometimes crossover comics are just like, well, how is this affecting this hero in their universe? But in this one, it's like you don't even know what happens with Reed in between him being an imposter. Were they scrolls? I don't remember. Him being an imposter, and then when he wasn't. So I need to get the rest of them anyways to finish the whole story. So if I have these in singles, I'm halfway there. So and here's number 3 with its fold out. Of course, we have Kang and Doom, and it just goes level. It just levels its way down to Galactus, Silver Surfer, and Strange and Nova on their quest. And then we have Magus and his Thanos. And then, speaking of covers that I really like, this is Fantastic Four Atlantis Rising. I think it might be a one shot. I was looking into it, but I just love this cover where it's like cell animation. So you have the layers. So on the cover, we have the characters, and then we have the background, and it continues its wraparound. So you got Nova and Thor and Sue. It says the end of the world as we know it on the background there. So even if I don't like the story at all, I love the cover. It's really cool. And then this was one of my polls. This is a facsimile of X-Men number 139, the first appearance of Kitty Pryde. And Marvel Superheroes, Winter 1992, featuring Falcon, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man. And I'll go ahead and do this. This was like the moment I knew, okay, I don't need to find anything else today. This is what I'm looking for. If you follow my channel at all, you know that Kang is my favorite Marvel villain, and Avengers Forever is a story that's pretty centric around him. And I have some of it, but I haven't completed it yet, so I haven't been able to just sit down and read it all. But I found the rest of the issues I was needing all in wonderful condition too. So this is part 3, part 4, part 6, part 7, part 8, part 10, and part 12. So that was fantastic for me. I haven't found a lot of Kang issues recently, and that's probably going back to the Superman preference I've had recently. So it was nice to find that much. All right, moving on to DC. This was another one of my polls. Detective Comics reprint or facsimile of number 40. So this is the golden age story of Clayface. So this is really great, especially with the Clayface movie coming out soon. I'm glad that it's out. But I love getting these golden age comics. And in fact, funny story, maybe for some of you, I do a comic book club with my kids at school. It's an after school club. And the story that I'm leading up to is going to be discussing the Crisis on Infinite Earths and just trying to help them understand just why that was such a monumental story for that time. I'm going through each comic age of these characters so they could see the differences of them, and then understanding how neat it was to see them all together, and then to understand how sad it was to see it all fall apart. So when we were looking at the first Batman story from Detective Comics, what was it, number 28, 29, or 27, one of those. One of the first comments they said was one of the first questions they had was, why does Batman have feminine hips? And so we had to discuss different body types and what was considered like the strongman body type of that time, and how that's changed when Arnold Schwarzenegger came on the scene and changed our definitions as far as like the worldview of what it means to look like a strong character, and what we can do and how we push our bodies with bodybuilding. But they just saw the really long legs and the slender proportions, and they didn't understand, like that kind of Buster Crabbe swimmer kind of everyman kind of strength that was big at the time. So that was just a funny conversation. But Detective Comics number 40. And then Some of you might think I'm crazy, especially after the latest Unwrapped video from yesterday. But I'm still trying to get all the Bloodline stories, and I have to say, after going through those trading cards, I'm understanding more of what I'm seeing on the covers, and the covers are always great to these. I love the covers and the colors they choose. But I'm trying to say, oh yeah, I know who that is. I know who that is. So maybe the trading card idea focused so specifically on these new characters was smart. I don't know. Um, I guess when you had them at the same time, it helped. It's like you had a built-in encyclopedia. So this is the New Titans annual number 9 part of the story, and then Eclipso's annual, and it's like, hey, that's Prism. I know him. He's one of the new blood. Thanks, trading cards. And then, speaking of Golden Age stuff, this is All American Comics by Ron Mars. So it's, I guess, a modern interpretation of these characters. So we got Johnny Thunder and then Alan Scott Green Lantern. And then Eclipso number 1 from his own series after the Eclipso annuals, which I haven't completed all those yet. So it's going to be a while till I get to this. And then Crisis, or Infinite Crisis Villains United number 6. And JLA versus the Titans number 2. This is a 3-part story. Okay. And next, I found a huge chunk of Legion related comics. So this is Legion 29, 32, 33, 34, and then it becomes Rebels in this era because there's a betrayal inside Legion. So the original Legion crew with Rodrox are on the rebellion side of it trying to fix things. So this is number 0, and then number 4, number 6, number 9, number 11, and number 13. And then the rest of what we have here is Superman. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you up front, I don't think I'm any closer to completing a year because most of these were pre-triangles that I grabbed, but they were still ones that I needed. So this is Adventures of Superman 471. We get Sinbad, who becomes a ally of Superman. Superman number 39. Superman number 18. Legacy of Superman. This is part of the World Without Superman time when he's dead. And so all the characters like Wave Rider, Sinbad, Gangbuster Thorn, and Guardian, how they're dealing with that giant absence in their life. The Adventures of Superman number 470. I believe this is the death of Perry White's son. Adventures of Superman 456. The Gangbuster era. Number 469. And then Reign of the Supermen, Adventures of Superman number 501. This is the only one of the die cut covers that I still didn't have. So it's nice to have this one. And I love these images. And I really love the background promos. I'm going to have to try to get at least 2 more of these so I'm going to try to combine them all into a poster image that I could frame because I love these backgrounds. Especially when you get the Superboy with him pointing at his leather jacket on the back. It's pretty cool. So, fun adventures at my comic shop. As always, I'm going to tell you guys, if you have a comic shop near you, go check it out. Even if you don't like more modern comics, hopefully you can find one that has dollar bins or has the boxes for you to go through and see all the back issues. That's where I spend most of my time, but I've been creeping my way back into more modern stuff. In fact, coming up in my polls, I've noticed that Kang is going to be or is coming forward as a top villain in the current Avengers storyline. So I have quite a few modern Avengers pulls coming my way. So you might find stuff that you're still looking for, or you would still enjoy in modern comics, even if you don't like most of it. But so many comics have been made since the night from 1939 to now for superheroes. So you'll find stuff you like. And if you don't like superheroes, there's other stuff too. There are so many kinds of comics. Go into a comic shop, look around, and you'll be surprised what you'll find yourself walking away with. All right. See you next time.